Well, welcome everybody. So happy to have you joining us for this Business Owner Spotlight interview today. I am thrilled to be able to introduce a fellow businessman here in the Twin Cities, a colleague, a well-respected person, Travis Sims. And Travis is joining us today. He has an incredible background. He is the founder and CEO of Accelerated Global Connections, which is a great networking program. In fact, there's so much more to that he'll be telling us more about. He's a motivational speaker, a business coach, and a two-time best-selling author. And so please join me in welcoming Travis Sims to our interview today.
Thank you, Marty. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're grateful that you took the time to join us. As you and I have talked before, we've got a lot in common in terms of our business background and our desire to be able to help business owners in our community, whether it be here in the Twin Cities or places across the country or even abroad. And you've got experience all of that. So I think people are going to be really fascinated to hear your story. And so one of the questions I'd like to just start with, Travis, is you have set some very extensive goals for yourself that have really stretched you in many ways. So tell us a little bit about your journey. Kind of where did you come from and what got you to where you are today?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Marty. So, gosh, where to start? I'll start at the beginning, and that is, I've been a business owner for a lot of my life. So my parents were business owners and salespeople. They owned a lawn care and landscaping company, and I worked in that business from the time I was old enough to ride a lawnmower and carry a weed eater, long enough to know that that's not what I wanted to do for a living. Right? It's great for Dad, not for Travis. And so I started another business of my own. I went through several different businesses and landed in entertainment, which I spent about 10 years in. And so I performed as a magician all over the country. And so it was a really cool career. Did some really neat things. Like I got on Oprah, I mean, huge audiences, 3,000 people. It was crazy. And then the 2008 recession hit, and it just killed the entertainment business. I mean, just wiped it out. And it was the first thing to let go, right? So, any time in a recession, people immediately pull back spending, which causes us to go deeper into a recession. And they do away with entertainment first. So it's like, well, we'll go out to eat less. We'll watch movies at home instead of at the theater. We'll do birthday parties at home instead of at Chuck E. Cheese. The corporate world pulls back and says, well, we're just going to do a dinner. We're not going to do entertainment. All the big stages go, well, we're going to use local entertainment instead of big names. And it crashed. It crashed hard. I fell all the way from a huge business employing like 30 people, traveling the country, had a storefront, the whole deal. And it completely went into bankruptcy, every bit of it. I lost everything. I lost the house. I lost the business. I lost my wife. It was bad time. And I networked my way out of it. I'm sitting in my car and I'm going, where am I going to get my next meal? And how am I going to start over from here? And I started networking and started building relationships. And I quickly realized that relationships was going to get me to where I wanted to go. And that age old thing, it's not what you know, but it's who you know, really does matter. It's not just who you know, but it's how well they know you that makes even all the difference. I networked my way out, and that's why I've really committed, the last 20 years of myself to networking, because I never want another business owner to be sitting in their car wondering where their next meal is coming from.
Wow. First of all, that is a tremendous testimony and story to not only what you have done, but also how you worked your way out of some of the challenges that were faced, as a lot of business owners were in 2008, and then even fast forward to COVID just a few years ago, a lot of business owners were faced with some similar challenges. So where are you now? Tell us a little bit about Accelerated Global Connections and tell us how it works. Tell us who's attending, and then share with us your vision for the future.
Yeah, it's like, why does the world need another networking organization? There are so many already to choose from. And I had spent 14 years as a high level executive for a global networking organization. And I started watching and looking at why is networking on a decline? And it's been on a decline at that time for about 10 years. And people were just pulling back, especially in the US markets, and going, they're not doing networking. So I started looking at, why is that? And it's really because people are not buying the same way they did 30 years ago. They're not making purchase decisions the way they did 30 years ago. Things are evolving and changing. Then I started looking at how are millennials doing business? And they weren't attracted to meetings. Like if I invited a millennial to a meeting, they'd say no, because it doesn't sound fun. It sounds kind of stuffy, kind of strict, and they have no interest. But if I invite them to an event, they'll say yes. And it's because an event's fun and exciting and a good time, right? And then they're not attracted to structure. They love social. They're not attracted to paper. They love technology. They're not attracted to rules and all those types of things. They like freedom. They prefer to learn not through books, but through TED Talks and podcasts and things of this nature. So I started looking at this and I thought, we need to change how we're networking in order to continue to be able to serve the next generation of business owners and salespeople. And so that's how AGC, Accelerated Global Connections, was born. And we developed it all around those things. And we've now been an organization for 4 years. We just celebrated our 4-year anniversary.
Yeah, you had quite a turnout there too, from what I understand.
Thank you. Yes, we do a couple events a year. That one beyond our normal events. We have an event every single week. However, we have 2 events a year that draw around 250 people each event, which the anniversary event is one of them.
Nice. So what is a kind of a day in the life of a member of AGC? What does that look like, or a week in the life? Tell us a little bit more about how AGC works, and maybe we'll talk a little bit too about how people can learn about it and even become involved if they choose.
Sure. The biggest differentiator is it's a red carpet experience. We choose nice venues. You literally walk in on a red carpet. There's food, there's drinks, there's business card exchange, there's conversations, and there's typically a speaker. At our talks events, we call them AGC talks. They're formed very similar to a TED Talk. The difference being we incorporated networking around that TED Talk experience. So in the first part of the event, you're meeting new people, you're having conversation, etc. Then you take in a learning experience together, which causes the relationship to go a little deeper. And then you take in the last portion of the event, which is what will you implement? What will you start on first in your business? What did you learn from the speaker? How will you share that with others? And then more importantly, also, you go back to the people you met in the front of the room in the beginning of the event, and you set future appointments coming up to sit down for coffee. Very intentional about getting our members opportunities to have future conversations. And so that's one style of event. We do many different types of events, but I keep saying the word event, and it's, really what we've developed is a community. It's not just an event-based organization, because you talked about what does a day look like, what does a week look like for the average member. They're attending event every single week. It's a different part of the cities. They're meeting new people every single time. They're reconnecting with members they already know. And then they're setting appointments throughout their month based on who they're meeting there. And when we talk about sales, you need to add more people to your sales funnel when that starts by setting up future appointments. And then we keep our members connected also. So our online profiles, it's very robust. You create a profile with who you are, what you do, who you're looking for, what would be a great referral for you. You have the ability to connect with other members. You have the ability to direct message back and forth with other members. It's almost like a mini LinkedIn. The biggest difference is in LinkedIn, like your friends are connected to a lot of people on LinkedIn you probably never see. In AGC, you're going to be connected to people that you see often, which is going to be that constant reminder of you and your business. And so that's just part of it. It is a community of people. We're not just attending events. We're there to help. We're there to do business together.
Yeah, there's two things that I'd like to maybe get some additional information on, but also clarify for people because the format of AGC there's some networking groups out there that are very highly structured, both in terms of their meeting agenda every week and the rules that they have in place and those types of things. And AGC has certainly has a working framework for members to do just what you described, but there's quite a difference between some of the more structured groups and AGC. Could you just maybe expand on that just for a minute?
Sure. So I like to think about the different types of networks. First of all, I have a very abundance mindset when it comes to networking, and you need to be networking in multiple places, not just choose one place to do that. It's almost like streaming TV. Like you stream in Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Prime and Amazon, all those streaming. What if you could only have one, right? You'd limit all that content coming into your household. Well, it's the same with business. You can't just be networking in one place. You need to diversify your networking by streaming new relationships, new opportunities, new referrals, and new closed business from multiple different networks. Now, here's how you choose your networks, and that's based upon the style in which you like to network. So there's three styles that I've identified when it comes to networking. You've got the DIYs, which is the do-it-yourselfers, right? They're going to put a thing up on Meetup. They're going to say, we're having this network event, and you can't find much information about it. Like there's no website, there's no support. They're using stock pictures because there's no pictures of their own. You get there and it's usually very small attended, very small footprint, and not a lot comes from it. Now you can meet good people there, but you have to be really good at networking to pull something away. And then you've got the DIEs, right? The DIEs, that's the do it or else. Like you're going to hear a lot of must. There's going to be attendance. There's going to be you must bring visitors, you must bring referrals, you must do all these things. So it's the DIE, the do it or else. And then my favorite is the let's do it together, the DITs, right? Let's do it together. And that's the model that we built AGC around. And it's really, it gives you the freedom to come and go as you please. One membership price gets you access to every single thing. You can walk into a room anywhere we have an event. If you're a member, there's no door fee. You just walk straight in the door and go in. This is a huge differentiator from most networks, even most chambers, right? Because they're community focused. I'm a part of three chambers, right? So I'm a member of three because I'm wanting to network in three different communities. Well, guess what? In AGC, you can network in all those communities for one price instead of three times, right? So it really is an abundance mindset. They have the freedom to come and go as you please. It's a choose your own adventure style of networking.
So it's not an either or between some of the more structured programs or groups versus AGC. They're really complementary, is what I hear you saying.
Absolutely. And so leading experts will tell you that you should diversify your networking with three different types of networks. So you might choose a closed network, like let's say a BNI, an NIA, Master Networks, LATIP, one of those where there's one person per profession. You might choose an open network, like an AGC or a chamber or First Thursdays, Network After Work, those type of organizations. And then you might choose maybe a service club where you're giving back to your community. You're going to do a Rotary or a Kiwanis or a Lions or something where you get to give back and help, your fellow community members.
Okay, that now that's really helpful. I don't know that a lot of people, business owners that are out doing networking, it's really kind of a almost a visiting kind of thing or a socializing type of thing. But based on what you just described, as well as what you've written about networking, there are some very specific techniques. Would you share maybe one or two of what you think are the best techniques or tips that you would give to a business owner if they were attending one of the AGC events?
Sure. So I know this sounds counterproductive, but the first thing I would do is say stop selling. Stop selling at networking events because you're not there to sell. And here's the problem with it, right? So you show up to an event, and I could ask anybody at an event, how many of you came here with something to sell today? Everyone raises their hands. We all have something to sell. Then I'd say, how many of you came here to buy something today? And no one raises their hands for that. And so everyone came to sell, no one came to buy. And now there's this networking disconnect. And so, really, what you're there is to start developing relationships. It's like connecting with new people. And I'm going to say, an average AGC event is going to have 50 people or more in attendance. And when you go into that room, your objective is not necessarily to meet the 50 because people think that, right? They're like, oh my gosh, all these people, this is awesome. And it's great. And yes, it is. The energy's high. However, I want you to pull the 3 to 5 people out of that room that you most need to connect with. That's who you're going to follow up with. That's who you're going to be very intentional and purposeful with. That's who you're going to work to get a coffee meeting with, start a deeper relationship, ask the right questions, help develop that relationship throughout. And if you're doing that, by the way, in an AGC event, then you're doing it in a closed network, you're doing it in a service network. Now you're finding your 3 to 5 in each one of those categories of networks. So when we talk about streaming networking, right? If you're really good at your target market, you're like, I know I need to be in front of business coaches, and I'm meeting business coaches in each one of these networks. Now I'm really able to reach my target market and stream those new relationships and new opportunities, if you will.
That's really sound advice and I think wisdom. My experience in the networking community is we see a one to many relationship, but it's really more one to one to many in terms of, especially the way you just described it, right? Find those 3 to 5 people and get to know them, and they'll introduce you to any more, right? So that's fantastic. So AGC, you've had great success in a very short period of time, 4 years. I mean, that's young in business terms, right? But where do you see AGC going in the future? What does it look like for the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Like when I first launched AGC, I took a year to write the business plan, a whole year. And then I took it and I put it in front of my closest advisors, my most trusted people, and we picked it apart and we looked at all the angles and we regrouped it and we finally had something we were ready to roll out. We had 400 members in 1 year. It's unreal, crazy. You're talking about the size of a chamber in 1 year's time, bigger than most chambers here locally. And then COVID hit. I mean, 1 month after our 1 year anniversary. And so talk about like the rug getting pulled out from under you. Never missed an event though. We put everything online. We did everything via Zoom and broadcasting and all those great things. Um, but the model was not as good online as it was in person. And so I used to look and I had the 3 year, the 5 year, the 10 year plan. And now it's really looking at what am I going to do quarter? What's next quarter going to look like? And what's next quarter going to look like? That's where my brain is at. That's what I'm watching right now. I want to make sure my members are getting good value, that we're able to give them really great benefits for what we're able to provide. And then I know the scaling will come. If you ask my vision is that this will be a global organization, that you'll be able to walk into an event on a red carpet anywhere in the country or around the world, and you'll be able to do it for one membership price. So if you live in Minneapolis and you're traveling to California, you can pull up your app and go, oh, there's an AGC event tonight. I think I'll go, and walk straight in the room and start making live and in-person connections there. And you're from Minneapolis. It didn't cost you a thing to get there.
That's great. Well, that in itself is a big benefit because so many people are traveling today, especially now that the pandemic is, supposedly over it. Now those things have opened up and people want to make more global connections and globally in terms of just in general outside of their own sphere of influence to expand their businesses. So what a tremendous way to be able to do that. By the way, you mentioned your app and just give us 30 seconds on the app looks like. It's very simple and easy to use, and it really facilitates the ability to be able to do some of that networking and capturing the key information from people in a pretty easy way during the AGC events themselves, right?
Yeah. If we spend any amount of money on the organization in the very beginning, it was that, right? So we had to develop the website, the app to be able to be really functional, really usable, very simple. and it's really robust, and meaning that I said mentioned this earlier. You're able to create your profile. You can direct message. You can connect with other members and so forth. But you can also search, and you can get really defined in your search. So if I'm looking for let's say a realtor to connect to, I can put in realtor. It'll pull up tons of realtors for you to meet. I could put in the word real estate. Again, it'll pull up lots of people. I could put in the word house. It'll pull up more people. I could put in the word home. It'll pull up a huge amount of people. And really, this is built a lot like Google in a way that every word used in someone's profile is searchable, right? And so if I'm Marty, as an example, and he's a member of AGC, and I want a business coach to come up, I'm going to put business coach throughout. I'm going to add leadership. I'm going to add learning and education. I'm going to put in accountability and commitment and loyalty. I'm going to use all the words that when people start thinking about why do I want a business coach, what type of business coach do I need, I'm going to be searching for that, and we know you're going to come up right at the top of that list, right? So it's really good. It's very social app as opposed to a tracking app, and that's what I like about it.
I like that too. Well, fantastic. Well, one last question before we go. Has there been a time you'd mentioned the recession of 2008, but in when it comes to just kind of business in general, as a business owner yourself, and some of the ups and downs or the challenges that you've experienced, if the audience has the opportunity, I guess, to learn from, some of the challenges that you've been through, is there one thing that stands out in your mind that would you think would be really helpful for others to learn from?
Yeah. I could have said the pandemic. I could have say, the time I spent in my car, and after trying to rebound from that. But I'm gonna choose when we launched, right? So I wrote that plan. We have everything in place. We spent a huge amount of money on website and apps and all this stuff. Now we're ready to roll it out. And it's exciting, but here's the things I didn't know. And that is, for the very first time in my life, I was working with a brand that was completely unknown. No one knew what AGC is, why they should care, how it's different. I had no brand recognition trying to
Wow.
launch something brand new. That was a first for me. And there was a learning curve that came with that. And so I'll say this, probably a lot of the people in the audience, maybe you're pioneering something new. Maybe you're trying and testing things out as you go. And I'm going to say it's the same thing that got me out of the car. Yes, I launched a networking event. I had to go network other places in order to tell people that we were here and how we were different and why you should do more than one thing for networking. And so it's constant. And I'm going to say too that you can accomplish a lot more with a team. But even if you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, you can create an army with the amount of people that you're networking with. And so, whatever that is that you're launching, that you're pioneering through, meet people, have lots of conversations, build lots of relationships. They will want to help you get to the level that you want to be at.
Mm. That's good advice, especially the beginning of that whole part of the conversation around launching from scratch and how many business owners are doing that. And but yet 12 months later you had 400 members. So congratulations for overcoming that huge challenge. So well, Travis, thank you so much for joining us. As we sign off here, I know there's lots of people in the audience that would love to get to know you better and get to know AGC better. What's the best way for them to contact you?
Sure. I'm going to give you two websites. The first one is my personal website is travissims.com. Sims is SIMS. So travissims.com. You can go there. You can read about me and see uh, really what I've done in my life. You can get both of my books there as well. And then the other one is joinagc.com. And if you want to take a tour of AGC and see how it's different and how it might fit in you with you and your business, go to joinagc.com, take a look around, and I hope you're impressed.
Well, thank you for that. And just so the audience knows, I was so impressed with AGC and with Travis after I got to know him over the past year or so that I joined AGC as well. One of my employees joined. It is a tremendous experience. So I'll just share my testimonial with that and my support of the work that he's doing. in the community to be able to help people, other business owners, to learn how to network, to give them the place to network, but more importantly, so they can reach deeper into the communities to be able to help those business owners in those communities be more successful. So Travis, thanks for joining us. Really grateful for your time today.
Thank you, Marty, for having me. I had a great time.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. We look forward to our next episode. Please sure and keep posted for the next interview that we have coming up in the next week. So thank you again for joining us. See you soon.